Oh, hello plant fans and welcome. This year I only had 3 very short windows to visit the mountains in search of flowers. So I wanted to go to 3 places that I'd longed to visit before. The Abruzzo in central Italy, Mount Olympus in Greece, and the Julian Alps in Slovenia. And what a fantastic flower-filled summer I had. Here's the first video, the Abruzzo. I hope you enjoy it. Cheers, or should I say, chin chin. Right, and we're off. Gatwick Airport, early flight, but not too early. Down to the centre of Italy. Slightly bumpy landing. There we go.
Right, here I am at Rome Airport, and it's chaos. And as I'm sure my Italian friends won't mind me saying, it's Italian chaos, which is a particularly chaotic variety of chaos. I've already been waiting for an hour to be picked up by my car rental company. Just nothing seems to work. A lot of shouting. It's a good job. It's such a beautiful, beautiful country with beautiful food, beautiful wines, and most importantly, beautiful flowers and mountains.
The waiting continued. Well, it's been a horrific morning. Finally in the car, but just had a bit of pizza. All is good. When in Rome. Right, anyway, time to get to the mountains. See you in a bit. So, around Rome on a very busy ring road, and I've heard this range called a lot of different things. The region is the Abruzzo, the chain of mountains is the Apennines, the Apennini, so I think these are the Abruzzi Apennini. Bacon calls them the Abruzzi. We're aiming for the Gran Sasso, and we're going to stay in the little town of L'Aquila.
Well, mamma mia, this has been an incredibly long day. No matter what I seem to do, I just can't get into the hills. Every time I look at my sat nav, it still says 2.5 hours, so I've had to do a little stop at my favourite shop, Eurospin. So let's get some supplies in.
Finally, I break free of the motorways and I'm in the wonderful, rolling, rural hills of central Italy.
Well, one thing's true, it can't be Italian coffee. Cheers.
It's funny, you know, no matter how grumpy and tired I am, and believe it or not, I can get pretty grumpy. As soon as I start driving through the mountains, it kind of all goes away. And you start thinking about what you're going to find and the beautiful views. Really is quite relaxing. I'd really recommend it when you're feeling a bit stressed out. Even getting stuck behind this little tractor in this beautiful wooded avenue, when one can't drive at the speed one wants, has a certain charm about it, don't you think? Finally arrived in L'Aquila. It's been a long, long day, a lot of traffic, a lot of miles, but finally arrived. So we're going to have a nice bit of food and a good early start tomorrow to go and find some lovely flowers for you. Now, I'm very happy because I've got a beer, so chin chin.
Good morning, plant fans. It's an absolutely beautiful day. Look, isn't it? Looking forward to my first experience of the Abruzzi Mountains by wandering up to the Gran Sasso.
Let's go. Actually quite a drive from L'Aquila, about an hour, wiggling and winding through little Italian villages. And then suddenly, this sort of big bit of rock hones into view. And that is the edge of the Apennine Mountains, the Apennini. This chain down the centre of Italy which separates the east and the west coast. And of course we have the Adriatic Sea on the east and the Mediterranean on the west. Gran Sasso, the literal translation is large stone, and that's where we're headed. This big lump of rock right in the middle of Italy. Now as you get higher and you leave the villages and the trees behind you, the roadside verges turn into screes and, well, I'll tell you about it now.
Incredibly impressed. There's lots of lovely stuff here, lots of lovely blue stuff. We've got this little Muscari that's growing away. We've got this little Globularia. I think it's Globularia cordifolia. I'll check the book. But the roadsides are absolutely smothered in flowers. Masses of orchids. It's a fantastic area.
Now, did I mention the views yet? The views are incredible.
Now, normally I stay away from peas because they're rather tricky to identify because there's so many different types. I still haven't identified this one. I'll find out later for you what it is. But it's absolutely gorgeous. It also smells nice. It's a wonderful thing. Where else would you want to be and what else would you want to be doing?
Yes, a Polygala major. Wonderful thing. Also comes in sort of shades of blue and purple. There's also a white one up there, which I didn't photograph. This lovely little Viola, which also comes in purple.
An old friend, Ranunclus thora, Acinos alpinus, some lovely patches of this, and then this other P, I think it's an Astragalus, didn't get around to identifying it. Anyway, Edraianthus graminifolius, one of the things I wanted to see growing in the wild. This was just in these verges, these scree verges. Lovely, lovely thing. Campanulaceae. Didn't manage to get too many good photos of it. Difficult actually to capture the character of the plant because it kind of sprawls a bit. Also a white one there. Lovely stuff.
These views up here really are absolutely stunning.
Yes, I did already tell them.
Well, hold on a minute. Who's this? Is that Tim Roberts?
Hello, Ollie.
Morning, Tim. Fancy seeing you here. So where you been so far?
I've been to a lot of mountains. Ferry across Sunday morning, down through France, and first destination is a place I'd been way back in the early 90s. I'd gone by plane to Milan and then by train and bus. Valnonti, which is quite a good location north of the Gran Paradiso range. Unfortunately, when I got there, the whole of the valley had had torrential rain last September and it all been washed out. Whole path endings would just disappeared. You'd look over the edge and it would be like 10-metre drop where the land had just been washed away. I thought, where to next? I thought, I've always wanted to see, because when I was last here, nobody ever even heard of Primula albanensis. So I thought I'll go to Monte Alban and look for Primula albanensis.
And did you find it?
Well, I tried. Unfortunately, they were all small, not great in good health plants, and out of flower, but at least I found it.
So, Primula albanensis done. Where to next?
Well, I just happened to spot on the map, not far from where I was, Passo or Col Presolana. I thought, ooh, maybe. So I parked up and had a good 5.5 hour walk up and down. Quite hot though. Millions of Primula spectabilis in full flower.
Yeah.
And for me the highlight, because I'd seen it way back in '92, but out of flower, was Saxifraga vandelii. Only one plant, beautiful, but in full flower.
Just the one plant?
Just the one, on a rock bluff.
Yeah.
If I'd gone higher, I would have found more, I'm sure. But it was only my second or third walk of the trip, and I was just gaining fitness, you know?
Yeah, I've been up there and I found, well, later on in the season, August time, Campagna Raineri up there.
Oh yeah. That it'd be worth coming back for.
Yeah, it's good. And where did you go after that?
Well, Adrian had given me an article, Monte Baldo, and he'd always said you need to go on Monte Baldo. And I know you'd been on Monte Baldo, and you'd had a nightmare getting up to the chairlift because it was so busy. I thought, what I'll go down the east side, be clever. Unfortunately, I couldn't get through, and by the time I'd rejoined the road, I was too low down. The following day, I thought, I'll drive down the east side of the lake, west side of Baldo, and see if I can find an access up. It was so busy, lots and lots of middle-aged ladies and gentlemen riding hired bikes, so it took probably 4 hours to get the full length of the lake. Following morning, up bright and early, up to the chairlift. I got there at 7:30. First one was 9 o'clock. So I went down and got a quick coffee and lingered. So 2 minutes past 9, the shutter doors opened. I paid my 15 euros because I'm a pensioner now, discounted rate. I was the first man up. Visibility was 25-50 metres. I walked up for probably about half an hour, 3/4 an hour through like alpine grassland, and the clouds just parted, and then from then on it was limestone pinnacles with one of your plants you've not seen yet.
Rhodothamnus.
Rhodothamnus chamisistus, beautiful clumps on the limestone, full flower.
Well, thanks for the tip off. I'll go that way next time.
Pretty respectabilis, Primula auricula, the arbor cincta, but in a absolutely fantastic form.
Oh,
Beautiful,
really?
full flower.
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. Bit of Daphne neorum, a little bit lower. I've forgotten. Good walk.
So you finished up at Monte Baldo.
Finished with Monte Baldo. Checked the weather, and it looked like there was going to be rain for a few days. And it got quite hot, so I thought, where to next? I thought Gran Sasso's well worth another visit.
And here we are.
Here we are.
All right. So what are our options?
Well, let's just wander down the road a bit here, and there's a signpost with a map on it.
Let's go.
Let's have a look. We're actually there at that junction.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday I went up to Campo Imperatori and did a 2.5, 3 hour walk up to Monte Aquila.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the track is in a quite bad condition on the lower reaches due to the amount of people and the weather's deteriorated the path completely. So it's not a pleasant walk up. However, there, Androsaceae villosa, some lovely clumps in full flower. A doable walk for you. You'll be up and down in half a day.
Yeah.
Not great walking in places because the track's been so wrecked. Now, we're here at the moment. We're going to just run down in your car along this track here, because around this sort of area here grow two plants that you want to see. I've seen, Adrian would love to see.
Yeah.
That's Sax callosa and Sax porophylla, and they're both growing on the roadside.
Perfect.
So botanising is easy, and as I said when you wandered up before, the roadside verges along here are fabulous. In fact, better than the tops of the mountains.
Fantastic.
Let's do it, mate. We'll go.
So there we go. Tim, a fan of the roadside stuff as well. We went round the corner so he could show me these flowers, and one of the first things we saw, also in the verges, was this lovely little white Helianthemum. Helianthemum apenninum. Now, it's not actually limited to the Apennines, but it's definitely a notable thing because it strikes you straight away as being a big white Helianthemum. Beautiful. There was also this little fern in the rocks, Asplenium ceterach, which has had a name change, and it wasn't long before we were scouring the roadside rocks to try and find our specimens.
Well, Tim, I've come a long way to see this little plant, this little flower, this little Saxifraga. Can you tell me a bit about it?
What we have here, Ollie, is the locally endemic Saxifraga porophylla. It only grows in Gran Sasso region and the Myelage region a little further south. The way you tell it from others is the fact that it's got very small white petals. Most of the plants in horticulture are sempervivum hybrids. I don't think in the years I've been going to the AGS shows, I've not seen it on the show benches.
Well, it's an absolute beauty. But it's not the only Saxifraga on this bit of rock, isn't it?
It's not the only Saxifraga on this bit of rock.
Should we have a look at that one up there as well?
A little higher up on the rock. There you go, Ollie. What? 600 mil higher up the cliff, limestone, conglomerate type limestone cliff, Sax callosa.
Two very, very different Saxifragas.
Very different. Section porophyllum and ligulate. This grows from Marseille in the west, north of the Maritime Alp, all the way through the Maritime, for the Open Alps, through the Gran Paradiso area, and further down into southern Italy, and even jumping across to some of the Italian islands.
I've heard it goes as far as Sicily.
Yeah, not been yet to Sicily.
Right.
Etna's blowing at the moment, so maybe not the best time.
Next year.
But yeah, it's actually, you've seen it in the Maritime with these huge flower spikes.
Yeah,
So,
very different.
Well, not half a metre, but certainly 400, 500 mil long. Lots of flowers on the stem. This is a lot shorter reminds me of the one in Santa Balme above Marseille. The only difference being this doesn't have the cilia on its stem, whereas that one does. But beautiful red stems. It's short amount of flowers.
It's a cracker, isn't it?
Spectacular.
So those red stems really set it off.
Yeah, spectacular.
Now this is an incredibly variable species, and this particular specimen was a wonderful example. Those lovely scarlet stems and those big creamy white flowers. I thought I'd climb a little bit higher to get a closer look.
Don't you fall, Ollie. I don't have to take you to hospital.
It's okay, I'm fine. I made it. Okay, right, here are our two sexes, callosa and porophylla. And did you hear Tim say they're very different Saxifraga? One section ligulate and the other section porophyllum. Well, we're going to have a little bit of a look now at what that actually means. Firstly, we need to look at how living things are classified. So here's a recap from our biology lessons. I'm going to stick with the original Linnaean 7-tiered system, which is the one I learned at school. It's all got a lot more complicated now. There's a lot of stuff there we don't need to know about. So here we have the various categories from broadest to smallest, specific at the bottom, you'll notice, species, as to how things are named. Here's our Sax porophylla's basic naming, and here's a rabbit. I'm just showing you this as a comparison so we can see what each section kind of means. Straight at the top, kingdoms, one plante, the other one animal, simple. For the rabbit, at the class level, mammalia, mammals, which is of course the same group that we belong to. Interesting, there's quite a few sections underneath that before you specifically get to a rabbit. Anyway, okay, let's get rid of the rabbit. We're going to chuck a monkey in now, chimpanzee. It hasn't really got much botanical reference. Oh, well, maybe it has, just bear with me. We can see here all of its different classifications. And then, look, we're going to put us there, humans. Notice how we're only different at the last two stages. Incredible. Okay, let's get rid of us. Let's get back to plants. Now, we're going to have a look at, do you remember that little fern we saw, the little Asplenium? Here's the Asplenium. Now, the top two, the same. Tracheophyta, which basically means vascular plant, which means it has specialised vascular tissue, xylem and phloem for transporting water, nutrients and food throughout the plant. Yes, I am reading from Google. An example of a non-vascular plant would be a moss, say. And obviously, ferns don't reproduce by seeds or flowers. They have spores, so it changes at the class level. We'll deal with Magnoliopsida in a second. Here's one more example of what these terms mean with a plant we've already seen. The little Muscari we saw earlier, pretty similar. Now, this is kind of confusing because I'm using some old names and some new names for things, so I'm sure all you schooled botanists will be furious. Terribly sorry. Anyway, if you note here, family Asparagaceae used to be Liliaceae. Actually, now they've got it as family Asparagaceae, and there's another subfamily underneath it, which we're not going to go into. Something we will just quickly delve into, though. It's a bit of a tangent, but it is interesting. We've got Liliopsida and Magnoliopsida at the class level there. And although this isn't strictly, technically 100% accurate, but basically, Liliopsida, monocotyledons, Magnoliopsida, dicotyledons. It's more complicated than that, but let's just keep it simple. Anyway, what does this mean? So, dicotyledons, monocotyledons. Now, there are lots of differences. The number of petals, roots, leaf veining. It's very interesting. Lots of videos on YouTube. Go check it out. Primarily, the cotyledons are the first leaves that are produced when a seed germinates. And dicotyledons have two leaves. Mono, one. Monocotyledons have one leaf. So if you think about a bit of cress, that's got two leaves that are sent up. If you think about a grass seed, it only sends up one leaf. So dicots are mostly sort of planty plants, the things that we always think of, shrubs and all sorts of stuff. The one that I find fascinating is monocotyledons for some reason. So examples, orchids, monocots, tulips, lilies, all those bulbs. Some ones you wouldn't expect, bananas, monocots, crazy. All the cereals we know, so wheat, barley, oats, that sort of thing, onions, garlics, all monocots. Quite interesting. Anyway, let's move on to our sexes. Really, all we're interested in is the family, the genus and the species. It's pretty handy to know the family and recognise its characteristics because that's really helpful in the field when you're trying to identify plants that you don't know or you're not familiar with. And probably the best known part of this Linnaean naming system is the binomial system, which allows us to universally recognise each living thing with just two names, the genus name and the specific name, the species name. But of course, things couldn't stay that simple. Now, the genus Saxifraga is huge.
currently around about 510 species, ranging from high altitude rock-dwelling perennials like these little beauties, to annuals, biennials, aquatic plants, plants with bulbils, so a very large and diverse genus. Because of this variation, sections, subsections, and series are added between the genus and species classification. And let's not confuse this with subspecies and varieties. They come after the species. Now, the one I came to see here, porophylla, this is in section Porphyrion, subsection Porophyllum, then series Globularia. Confused yet? You will be! Series Globularia is a small group of plants consisting of only 6 species and 1 subspecies. Porophylla, Media, Strabrinii, Corumbosa, Federici Augusti subspecies Grisbaccae, and Sempervivum. And as you heard Tim say, most porophyllas in cultivation are hybrids with Sempervivum, lacking those lovely little white petals. So look out for those. I really love this group of Saxifraga, the Globularia, with their little nodding heads of flowers, had over that rock-hard foliage, and with Grisbaccae with those deeply, thickly, velvety-haired inflorescence. In fact, there's no point in me describing it when Farah's described it. Here's what he has to say about Grisbaccae. He is doubly remarkably valuable. First of all, for the singular beauty of his blue silver-hemmed rosettes, and then for the crimson flower stems with their blood-red bracts that come shooting up in the dark days of February. Yes, indeed. Another series in this subsection is Cabsia, which includes lots of Saxifragas that we love. European species like Besseriana, Aretiioides, Sprunerii, and then far-flung species from the Himalayas like Cineraria and Andersonii. Okay, now we get to Saxifraga callosa, also known as the limestone or thick-leaved saxifrage. So, as Tim said, section Ligulatae, this one is a little bit more simple. There's no subsection, there's no series, species callosa. Now, section Ligulatae is also known as the silver saxes, the encrusted saxes. Other species include garden favourites like Cochlearis, Cotyledon, also very variable, Paniculata, and an absolute beauty, Longifolia. But the silver saxes, section Ligulatae, has complications of its own because after species, we then have lots of subspecies and varieties. Longifolia is now divided into 2 subspecies and a variety. Paniculata, I believe, into 3 subspecies. Callosa itself, incredibly variable plant, as Tim said, from the south of France right through Italy down to Sicily. Lots of different forms. There's variety callosa, variety australis, that's the ton form. Requires a lot more research. Hopefully something we'll be doing in the future. Okay, nearly there. So these are all naturally occurring species we've been talking about. Now, species can hybridize. They do that in nature as well as in the garden. One naturally occurring hybrid would be Cross Lanctuscana, where Cochlearis and callosa occur in the same area in the wild and cross-pollinate. Now, a hybrid between 2 species that has occurred in a domestic setting, called garden hybrids, could be between 2 species that would occur near each other in the wild. But this is where it gets really interesting because it could be between 2 species that don't naturally occur together in the wild. Let's take Cross Calabrica, for example, a cross between Longifolia and callosa. Now, this hybrid would never occur in the wild because these 2 species don't grow together. Fascinating. If you get a really good cross, you can of course name it, and then it becomes a cultivar. And probably the best known example of Cross Calabrica is that absolute beauty, Saxifraga Tumbling Waters. It gets even more interesting because of course here we're talking about crosses between 2 section Ligulatae, 2 silver Saxifragas. Sometimes 2 different sections can cross. This example, Saxifraga Monte Grappa, is a cross between Saxifraga cordifolia, which is a section Gymnopura, and Saxifraga hostiae, which is another silver sax. Champs-Élysées. Then there are name forms, which is kind of synonymous with cultivars, but slightly different as well. For example, you can find a form you like in the wild and name it, such as Giallo Gloria, which is a selection of Saxifraga burseriana collected from a wild colony by Reginald Farrar, whereas Saxifraga Southside seedling, which caused such a fuss when we showed it at Chelsea, is a cotyledon seedling selection of garden origin. So, there, does that all make sense? As Columbo would say, just one more thing. You'll note the habit of porophylla, that lovely nodding head which straightens, I guess, once it's pollinated. Also in the rocks here, a plant we kept mistaking for the sax was this Sedum. A very different plant, different family, but this I think is a good case for convergent evolution, and you must think they both need the same insect to pollinate them, hence them mimicking each other. But which one came first, the sax or the sedum? Who knows?
So we've done the saxes.
Yeah, well worth the trip really, just for the saxes. Callosa, spectacular, full flower. Porophylla, just going over here, but you'd still get the idea.
And you said I see that higher up in flower, right?
Yeah, you'll see it higher up above where we're going now. So if we whip the car around,
Yeah.
head back that way where the chairlift docks at the top, and have a quick look round there.
Fantastic, let's go.
Oh, these beautiful rich verges. It wasn't long before we were stopping again.
So do you say you're not that into orchids then, Tim?
I'm not banging to them. Well, no, what I mean is, yes, I appreciate them, but I don't know them very well.
So does this mean I can
You can educate me.
I can tell you what it is.
Educate me.
This is a treat. Well, this is beauty. It's Orchis purpurea, the lady orchid.
Okay.
It's massive, isn't it?
It's a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah.
And 2 stems. Wow.
Really good. Yeah, and actually this site's really nice as well. And you'll find this with orchids. Once you get one species growing, you get quite a few. There's a little gymnadenia up there.
Yeah.
It was Orchis osculata, but it's now something else. But very nice site.
I wondered what you're saying. Well, stop the car, you know. Well worth the stop the car.
Indeed.
Yeah, and let's just have a look at a few stills of these orchids because they really were absolutely fantastic and in wonderful condition. The lady orchid, Orchis purpurea here. We've got what was Orchis osculata, now Neotinia osculata, the burnt orchid, and stacks of these gymnadenia here, the fragrant orchid. Really wonderful. And then a little bit further along, but pretty much everywhere, there were glades and glades of the elderflowered orchid.
These Dactylorhiza sambucina here are absolutely fantastic. I've never ever seen as many. They're here in both the colour forms. Check these out, absolutely gorgeous.
Indeed they were, like hyacinths. Let's just take a few moments here to look at some stills. Enjoy. He looks a bit dodgy, doesn't he?
Sorry mate, I'm not going your way.
Have a lift, mate.
Well, I felt sorry for him and I did pick him up. Then Tim very kindly showed me on the map exactly where I had to go the next day for my walk.
Second little knoll.
Yeah.
The high point there. Great walk. Great walk.
Lovely. Well, thanks for showing me where to go, Tim. I've had a bit of a tip off that this little Edelweiss grows up there somewhere.
Yeah.
You got too much this afternoon?
Well, we can have a wander along the ridge and see how far we get, see what we see really, I guess.
It's a nice looking ridge there, isn't it? Right, let's go.
Good afternoon out.
Okay, this is starting to become quite a long account. So please come back and join us in part 2 where you can see how me and Tim got on in the rest of our Gran Sasso adventure.